think of somebody today or tomorrow that you can encourage, or you can say something nice for, or even do something nice for without them even knowing it.
Absolutely.
That makes you feel good too.
Welcome to the Meier Clinics podcast. Join our licensed clinical professionals from various backgrounds as they discuss fascinating mental health topics with a wide range of guests. Meier Clinics is a Christian counseling organization with multiple clinics nationwide dedicated to treating the whole person, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Welcome to our listening family. We thank you for joining us. Hey everyone, I am so glad we have Dr. Paul Meier here. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how you doing, Kristin?
Good. So today, because I'm on a kick, listeners, as you know, of doing shows about narcissism. I'm doing that again, more of those, because we're certainly, having a rise in that, and a term that that already exists. Paul's going to talk about that, but I thought of this after my own experience with it, and then I thought, I have come up with this great term, and then realized, of course, that it's been there forever, but it's communal narcissism. So we're going to get Paul's thoughts on what it is and what it does to people, and we'll talk about a test as well on, if you're a narcissist. So Paul, let's get started.
Okay, and I had never heard of that term either, but the concept is old as mankind. It's been existing since mankind existed, and the Bible talks about examples of it 2,000 years ago, and even longer than that. Some of it was written 3,000 years ago. But and I wrote about it in my book. You Might Be a Narcissist If. I think I wrote that about a decade ago, something like that. And I wrote quite a bit about it, actually, but I didn't call it communal narcissism because I never heard of that term. But I'm glad somebody thought of that term and is making us aware of it again, because it's something that often gets overlooked. Because we think of narcissists just as being really selfish.
Yeah.
And sometimes the people that we hold up as heroes, and there's good philanthropists. There's nothing wrong with being a philanthropist. There's nothing wrong with working for charitable organizations or even starting one. And there's nothing wrong with being a pastor, priest, or rabbi,
right.
or a soloist at churches or charitable events. There's nothing wrong with those things. But there's a lot of people who do those kinds of things to, for the selfish recognition, and then they're terrors at home. They're mean to their mate and their kids and everybody else, but they put on this good show, and their families have to put on a good show, or else they get rejected and punished. And so those are communal narcissists. The definition online is their core motives of grandiosity, esteem, entitlement, and power are expressed through communal means. Helpfulness, trustworthiness, community events, charities, all that sort of thing. And something funny is in the Bible days, Jesus preached more against communal narcissists than he did any other group of people.
God, that is interesting to me. I want you to definitely dive into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll get back to that a little bit later, but the Pharisees, for example, were religious leaders back then. And when they donated money in the synagogue, somebody would actually go before them and blow a trumpet to announce them coming. Then they would walk down the carpet and put their money in, and everybody would applause.
Night.
And Jesus said, they ain't getting no reward. They got their reward on earth. But then he talks about the widow who is poor and puts 2 mites in the offering plate, or whatever you call it, and secretly, she goes up and sticks it in when nobody's looking. And he says, no, she's the one that's going to get a lot of reward in heaven. So, but communal narcissism has been around a long time, and we'll get back to that. And there's all degrees of narcissists and all degrees of communal narcissists too. Like I said, some people have. In fact, we're going to give a quiz in a little while, and I had 6 traits out of the 40 that they listed, and I probably fudged on a few more, but that's not enough to be a communal narcissistic personality disorder. But I've got a few traits, and probably most of us do. But we'll take that. We'll all take that together, all of our listening family, in a minute.
I got a 5, but I felt weird on a couple of them too, and we'll talk about which ones, because I was like, well, I do have healthy self-esteem, more than I ever have had in my life, but that's different than being self-absorbed.
Right. And like I said, there's all degrees of it. I know, for example, a communal narcissist. I haven't seen him in many years because he's been in prison, but I knew a communal narcissist in one town I lived in, who was a serial rapist, but he was also the pastor of a large church. He was involved in all sorts of charitable events. Everybody thought he was Mr. Wonderful. And, but in his family, there was a lot of, this natural narcissism showed up there. And he finally got caught. And fortunately, and then I saw a series on a serial killer who headed up a branch of a charity similar to Habitat for Humanity, and was a serial killer. And everyone thought he was the music leader in a church, and but he was a terrorist to his son and daughter and his wife, and beat them to the point where the son, who was on a high school student, had to pretend like he had accidents to explain the bruises, and one time even broken finger where he broke it to punish. And so that would be a severe case of narcissism where you're a serial killer, but everybody.
Psychopath and
And so you want to dive right into
let's go into the test, and then we'll talk about the ones that we sort of were like on. So this test.
Do you want to read?
I'll read the questions. Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So the first question, and listeners, I'll put the link to this test in the show notes so that you can do that yourself again, or do it with us now. But okay, so, and each answer gives you a point or takes away a point depending on which one you pick.
Yeah. And I think some of them are worded lousy, but still, it's interesting though. It gives us a kickoff.
Exactly. So, all right, the first question is, or the first descriptor is, I have a natural talent for influencing people. And the other one is, I'm not good at influencing people. And
now that's a poor choice. I hate that question.
I put yes on that one because I do, but that doesn't, so yeah.
And
so do you.
It's not necessarily, it's not necessarily a natural talent, although it could be, but we've developed skills. I hope I influence people for the better.
Right.
As a psychiatrist, my goal is to influence, not manipulate. Influence doesn't mean manipulate, but to influence people to see themselves more realistically and more positively, and enjoy life more, love and be loved and stuff. And I think I'm pretty good at influencing people, or I wouldn't be doing a podcast. But so in order to be humble here, you have to say I'm not any good at it. So throw that one out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a lousy question.
It is.
Okay.
The next one is, modesty doesn't become me. I am essentially a modest person. And of course I picked, I am essentially a modest person, because I would feel like, oh my God, who do I think I am to say modesty doesn't become me? The second one for me. And I'm sure you too, Paul.
Yeah, me too.
I would do
and then, go ahead. I want you to read these.
The next one is I would do almost anything on a dare, or I tend to be a fairly cautious person. And of course, I don't do anything on a dare. So I'm a fairly cautious person. And I would say that's you too. I can't see you, Paul, having somebody at a stoplight, you're next to another car, and the guy yells, Dr. Paul Meier, let's see who goes faster. I don't see you going, okay. All right. The next one is when people compliment me, I sometimes get embarrassed. And then that one after that is, I know that I am good because everybody keeps telling me so.
Yeah. And I do get embarrassed.
Me too.
When people compliment me. I appreciate it sometimes. There's times when I'm glad they do, but there's also times where, if I'm in a group of people at a party or something like that, and somebody starts bragging about me, I'm actually embarrassed. I really don't want them to do that.
Me too. I actually had somebody listen to a show I did with Melanie and Melissa long time ago, a few years ago, and they wrote that they love the shows that I do, but on the shows where I have those two women on with me, I came across as a narcissist, and I'm like, well, I can see that. I can see that that's how I might have come across at that time.
I've never seen that. I mean, I would tell you, you would tell me.
Yeah.
And I would tell you.
But I could see where maybe they got that idea. And thanks for leaving the iTunes review. You know how hard we work to get reviews and one thing, and then you're labeled a narcissist. But you and I both have dealt with that kind of garbage.
And there are times, there's a lot of times when I've done the program with you or with other people where I have been narcissistic. And I didn't mean to, it was an unconscious thing. And I feel like part of it's my perfectionism. I want everybody, if you're a perfectionist, you want everybody to know everything.
Right.
But if you're narcissistic, you think you know everything.
Right. And you don't. You always say, we've done shows where I bring up a topic like, I don't remember, but you've been like, I don't know. I really don't know anything about that. So let me go research it. So
I don't mind being vulnerable. But sometimes a lot of times I dominate and take way too much time. And my motives are mixed.
Me too.
My motives are basically good, but partial, but probably unconsciously to get attention too.
Exactly.
So I know I'm a mixed bag.
As we all are.
Hi, this is Dr. Paul Meier of the Meier Clinics. Our Christian counselors across the country have a goal of helping all those who come to us to become what God has called them to be. If you're in a situation where you're not at peace within yourself, or you just feel like there's joy that's missing in your life, we can come alongside to help you obtain peace and joy.
This message is sponsored by the Meier Clinic Foundation, a nonprofit Christian counseling ministry. The number is 1-888-7-CLINIC, 1-888-7-CLINIC.
All right. The next one is the thought.
But I don't want to be though.
Yeah. That's why we keep working on it. Narcissists really don't work on it because they think they're right. So, all right. The next one is the thought of ruling the world frightens the hell out of me. The second one is, if I ruled the world, it would be a better place. I'm definitely the thought of ruling the world frightens that. I don't want to rule the world. I just want to work on myself and help as many people as I possibly can. And I fall short on that often.
Okay. Now I checked. If I ruled the world, it would be a better place.
I agree.
No, I'll tell you why. It's not like I want to rule the world at all, but the world is so crappy, and the leaders are so evil in a lot of cases.
Yep.
In a lot of countries. I'm not saying anything about one country over another.
Right.
But I'm just saying there's so many evil people around the world, around the globe, that are there's good. And I know politicians, and I've I got an award from them a year and a half ago from a group of political leaders, the Great American Award. Here I'm bragging about it, but so I know some that are really good people, but there's quite a few who are very corrupt. And so I think my 10-year-old grandson, if he ruled the world, it would be a better place than it is now.
Yeah,
because he's got a good heart, and I would delegate. I don't think I know everything, so I would delegate stuff, but I'd find really good people that are moral to delegate it to. And so if I ruled the world, it would be a better place. And I just put that down because I think it's, the people that are so, that a lot of the political leaders in the world are so evil. It's the same way. I don't want to give an impression that, like I mentioned, some religious leaders that one was a serial killer and one was a serial rapist.
Right.
And in my narcissism book, You Might Be a Narcissist then I give examples of if you want to know who's a narcissist in a prayer group, it's whoever prays the longest. And
or makes a big show of it. I remember going to a church that made me very uncomfortable, but I just the way that they did their service and stuff, I was like, this is so not me. But my friend I was with was just throwing her arms in the air and twirling and her eyes rolling back in her head and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, that's all for show. It's just
and usually the people that do that are in the front row.
Yes.
And they stand up and do all their, dancing and all that stuff in certain denominations. And I taught at Trinity Seminary in Chicago for a while, and it has people training there from all different religions. It's not all one religious group. And they all had to take an MMPI, an extensive personality test and psychological test. And so what I did was I did a research project where I got the different denominations and saw what's the average personality of a Presbyterian or a Baptist or a Lutheran or Methodist or a charismatic person or Assembly of God or different religions. And of course, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to write an article about it. I wouldn't get any more referrals to my clinics. but in most of them, on the average, people that are spiritual and religious and go to church and pray and have devotions at home and stuff, on the average, they're 20 to 25% happier and humbler and have better marriages. They even have better sex lives than people who are not religious. So being spiritual is a benefit. They have better health. But there are, we learned at Duke, and I found later on, even in my own studies, that there's more people that are in full-time religious work and charitable organization and running charitable organizations and things like that, that are narcissistic than there are in regular jobs.
Right.
And so there's quite a few, but it doesn't mean everybody's that way. There's one denomination where they did their own study, and 80% of the evangelists that were traveling from town to town in that denomination were having affairs with the people at the churches they preached at. So,
that's the thing with the communal part is that makes it have this term, because you're affecting a community, and you can, it's not just you with one person or with just your family, you're affecting an entire community, and all of the blame shifting and the scapegoating and all that stuff that goes on has a wider impact because you're a leader of this community. So and I know various even TV evangelists, if you want to call them that, or TV personalities on religious shows that are wonderful people. I know some of them personally. Mm-hmm. They're wonderful people, but there's a few that are out and out narcissists and sociopaths and steal and do all sorts of stuff. And there was one that was in prison, and he acted like he got converted, but he didn't. Right. He just thought, man, when I get out, I can make a lot of money as a TV evangelist. And he became a crooked TV evangelist and did all sorts of crooked stuff. And he probably had 1 million followers, before he got caught again, back to prison. And social media, boy, that's a breeding ground for communal narcissism too, because of the followers.
Yeah, because you can see where it would be appealing, because if you get a lot of exposure and fame and fortune, and then it would attract either people that really are good people that want to help a lot of people, and that's a way to do it, or people that want the limelight even though they're corrupt.
Exactly. All right.
I just wanted religious people. Don't be offended by what I'm saying. I'm not saying religious people are more narcissistic than non-religious, because they're not. They're less narcissistic on the average than non-religious people. But let's move on.
I can usually talk my way out of anything, or I try to accept the consequences of my behavior. Well, of course, we both, I'm sure, I try to accept the consequences of my behavior. All right. The next one is, I prefer to blend in with the crowd, or I like to be the center of attention. I do not like to be the center of attention. So it makes me very uncomfortable.
I checked, I prefer to blend in with the crowd, but there are times when I like getting some attention.
Of
but
course.
No, I don't like to be the center of attention, though.
Exactly.
And most of the time, I don't even go to parties of strangers and things, because I don't want to get attention. I don't want to get
very
held up and complimented and stuff like that. I just go to parties and stuff where I know everybody. I can be myself.
Exactly. All right. I will be a success. I'm not too concerned about success. That's a weird one, because I am not too concerned about it, because my definition of success is not what the world tells you success is.
Yeah, that's right.
It's what I see. I see myself as successful, but it comes from, the things that I've had to look at within myself, like the other one, consequences of my behavior, and do the work to heal those wounds, or to not behave in the ways I've behaved. I'm concerned about my success in terms of that, but not success is what, society says, oh, you have to be a bazillionaire, and you have to have all these cars, and you have to, make, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. My desire is not to be successful, but I hope I'm successful at my desires. I hope I'm just successful at what I do,
Exactly.
And but that's not my desire to be. That's not my goals to be a success and all that sort of thing. I treated a pastor, a good man, a good pastor, who was depressed from a 7,000 member church. He was the pastor of a 7,000 member church, and he came to our day program and did great, got over his depression. And on the last day he was here, he was feeling great, but he came in my office to say goodbye, and he started crying. I said, "What are you crying about?" He says, "I just want you to know," he said, I've been a pastor of this many thousands of people for so many years, and we've helped a lot of them. But I've never seen so many people's lives change so dramatically in such a short period of time as I've seen here. He said, you're the best kept secret in the country. Our clinics are the best kept secret in the country. Yeah, and
your Catalyst program. I can't talk about that enough, because it's just, all the excuses that everybody makes, and I'm not putting it down at all, but when you really want to dive in and do that kind of work where you're there, for a 3-week or even a 2-week or a month-long program, that you're just focusing on yourself. But the comment is, oh my gosh, I can't take a month out of my life. I've got all this stuff. And I always think, but think about how incredible your life will be.
Yeah, it changes the rest of your life.
Exactly. So, okay. So the next one is, I am no better or worse than most people, or I think I'm a special person. Well, I don't think I'm better or worse than, I don't like either one of those, really, because, I don't like either one of those.
It depends on what you mean by that.
Yeah.
In God's eyes, I'm not any better or worse than most people. As far as, in heaven says there's neither Jew nor Greek, male nor female. He treats us all alike, but I'm better at some things than most people, and I'm worse at some things than most people.
Oh my gosh, I was taking
my directional IQ is a 0. It's a minus number.
I know. I was taking because I'm in the process of moving. I'm giving my very, very, very dear friend all of my furniture because I'm not going to need it where I'm going, and I don't have an attachment to that kind of stuff. So I was trying to get the bed frame. I have a really lovely bedroom set, and I was trying to figure out how to unscrew the bed frame so that we could easily carry it to her house.
Yeah.
And I just, she comes over, and within 3 seconds, she's like, "Oh, you just pop here, you go there." And I was like, I had no idea.
I'm that way too. Mechanical stuff. I am horrible at mechanical stuff.
Too. Me too. All right. Let's see.
But you are a special person.
Yeah.
In a way, in a way, we're all special.
Yep.
So it depends on,
how you're looking at it. That one's a little weird.
Yeah, it depends on how you're looking at it. Yeah.
I am not sure if I would make a good leader, or I see myself as a good leader.
But true. I see myself as a good leader.
I did too. I mean, I'm not good all the time. And I have been, I said this several years ago, talking to a narcissist, because he kept throwing me in the leadership position, but that was so then he could scapegoat me and throw me under the bus for the stuff he was doing. But I had said at the time, listen, don't do everything that I tell you to do. Because I take the lead all the time, that's just my natural personality. Doesn't mean that I'm always making good choices in that leadership,
Yeah.
Then, when you're dealing with.
But you're a good leader. You're a good leader. I mean, you're running like 20 organizations,
Not that many, but yeah.
A lot of divisions of mental health.
Right, exactly.
Radio and all that.
Yep,
sort of
exactly.
Stuff.
All right. I am assertive, or I wish I were more assertive. Well, I am assertive. But I think that being assertive is not a bad thing at all. It's how you assert yourself and what your intention is. I've learned this from the same friend that's taken the furniture. She always says to me, but what's the intention behind this person's behavior? And that's been so good for me to go, right, think about where they're coming from, especially in terms of mental health. If someone is having a manic phase of their bipolar disorder, if you judge them just on the phase they're going through, where they're grandiose then you are missing out on something lovely, because that's part of the disease that they're struggling with. It's not that that's who they are at the core.
Right. Now, I checked both of them there because, I'm assertive, but I wish I was more assertive. I tend to be too passive and let people step on me.
That's why you and I get along.
Yeah. So what? I don't know which one is the good one and which one's the bad one there.
Right. Exactly.
Which would a narcissist say I'm assertive, or would he say I wish I were more assertive?
Yeah. Who knows? I
don't know which one is even narcissistic there. I think they're both good. I hope you are assertive, and I hope you wish you were more assertive.
Absolutely.
But assertive, I think they're talking about saying I wish I was more assertive in a sense that, bossing people around or something. Right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like that question. I would delete that one.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is, I like to have authority over other people. I don't mind following orders. What do you think about that one, Paul?
I answered both of them again. I'd like to have. I'd rather be the boss than not be the boss. I like having my own. I'd rather
your autonomy.
I've got a national chain, but I delegate. To my sister and other people, the authority.
I think
even here at my own clinic,
you did that in such a great way, which is what makes you not. Someone who's, on the spectrum of narcissism, because you were doing so well and you were so successful with all the, New York Times bestselling books and on Oprah and all these things, but you're such a caring person that people were just coming at you to latch on to your fame, to take money from you, whatever. So I love how you made your sister in charge of things, and nobody, you got to talk to the director of the clinic. I can't, give you anything without going through her. I think that is so wonderful. If you were a true narcissist, you'd have been like, nope, I run this and I do it all and blah, 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 blah,
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't mind following orders from, people that are respected leaders and things like that.
Exactly.
But I'd rather run
You're the
a
one
business
giving the orders.
than not run one. But it's not. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
All right. The next one is, I find it easy to manipulate people. I don't like it when I find myself manipulating people. I don't like it. I do not. I feel bad about it later. I wonder, so that's an easy one. I don't want to manipulate anyone. I mean, if someone
I joked around. Go ahead.
I was just say I've dealt with so many people that are questioning whether they should take their own lives, and I've been that person there. And in that situation, I will do whatever I can to manipulate them into a better place where they see that is not the answer. So that one's a little, but do I find it easy?
Yeah.
Gosh, no.
Yeah, I joke with people and say, people talk about their spiritual gifts. Mm-hmm. And say, well, manipulation is one of my spiritual gifts, and I'm saying that with tongue in cheek, that I don't ever want to manipulate in a deceitful way.
Right. Exactly.
But if there can be a healthy kind of manipulation, if you're a chiropractor and you manipulate somebody's bones so they're straightened out and they have less pain, that's a healthy manipulation. And if I can help people to put having their critical mother or father in their brain and to see themselves with grace, like
right.
God sees them and we see them, then if I can manipulate them to see the truth, then but manipulation's not a good word. It's
right.
It usually means selfish, deceitful.
Exactly.
And so I don't like it when I find myself
lying. I don't appreciate
manipulative.
Being manipulated into moving to a place, as an example, that nothing about it is what was described online. And I was told things by the owner that, like, oh, you can come here, you can have your tiny house here on the property, blah, 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 blah. And then I find out later, well, there's a lien on the property. She tells everybody, anybody she thinks is going to get a sale for her. That sets up people for resentment and anger later. And then this person wonders, why are they saying that? I'm such a nice person. And I'm like, okay, no.
But my wife would tell you, that there's times when I'm manipulative.
Of course, we all can be.
Like, like, do you mind getting me a Coke? When you walk that way, that direction, or something like that. If I do that once, there's nothing wrong with it. But if I do that every time she gets up, then I'm being lazy. I'm being a lazy butt, and I'm manipulating. You know what I mean? There's ways that I manipulate that are not, serious things, but I find myself sometimes, and I don't like it when I see myself taking advantage of others.
Okay, I insist upon getting the respect that is due me. I usually get the respect that I deserve. I can't talk to people that are like, well, I'm going to do this because I am the owner or I am the leader. And so I'm going to I'm going to get what I want. And it's
my way or the highway.
Yeah.
My way or the highway.
If you don't like it, you can get out, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I go by the golden rule. He who holds the gold makes the rules. All right. Next one is, I don't particularly, this is a good one for me and you, because I know exactly what you picked.
Yeah. I mean, if I was Charles Atlas, if I was Arnold Schwarzenegger, I still wouldn't want to show off my body.
Same
but
here.
I definitely don't want to show off mine.
Yeah, this one is, I don't particularly like to show off my body.
That one was easy. That one was easy to be humble on for me.
I like to show off my body. No, even when I was 120 pounds, which was probably when I was 7. But anyway, in my 20s and stuff, I was never going to be someone that takes a bunch of pictures of myself and shows them to everybody and puts them on social media. Social media wasn't around back then. But just like, no, don't do that. I get very upset with actresses that are out there for they're talking about women's empowerment and look at me in my 50s and look at my body. I'm proving that age doesn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, no, all you're doing is proving that you're very narcissistic.
Yeah. When I was young, when I was in my 20s and 30s and part of my 40s, I was normal. I'm 6'4", and I was a normal sized guy, and I did some weightlifting for health, not for looks reasons or anything like that. And a lot of people asked me if I was related to John Wayne and stuff like that. And but I didn't, I didn't try to look good or anything like that. And I think part of the reason that I gained weight might have been unconsciously. So
same here.
It wouldn't be based, on that sort of thing.
And I think if you've had any kind of sexual abuse, which, listeners already know, and I did by my father, I gained weight as a way I don't want to look.
It's a protective.
Absolutely.
It's protective.
I don't want people to be sexually attracted to me because it makes me very uncomfortable. So the weight certainly helped in that department.
I want them to love me. I want them to love me for who I am, not how I look.
Exactly.
And on that picture taking thing, it's amazing how many people today put pictures of themselves, taking a picture of themselves on their Facebook page and things like that. And I play computer golf, as you know. I love it. I play it almost every night, a little while to relax. And I'm the president of a clan of 50 golfers. Mm-hmm. And so when there's an opening, I search the other golf clans and invite people, because ours is invitation only. And when I see anybody that's got a picture of themselves, taking a picture of themselves, there's no way I'm going to invite that person.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I don't want narcissistic people in my clan.
You and I are
people.
both. Exactly. We both are like, oh, another picture of me on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't like.
Yeah. If I see somebody holding their dog or hugging their wife or husband or a pleasant smile, things like that, I pick people like that.
The next one is, I can read people like a book. People are sometimes hard to understand. Well, yeah, people are sometimes hard to understand. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
The next one is, if I feel competent, I am willing to take responsibility for making decisions, or I like to take responsibility for making decisions. I'm more of the, I feel competent, I am willing to take, for sure.
Yeah, because I don't want to make decisions on things that I don't know about.
Exactly.
But in things that I'm good at, I don't mind taking the responsibility for making decisions.
Yep. I just want to be reasonably happy, or I want to amount to something in the eyes of the world. I just want to be reasonably happy.
Yeah, me too. I think there were times, there's like among wealthy people, there's the nouveau rich, and I forgot what you call the French terms and all that, but there's the new rich and the old rich, and people that come from wealth where their families have been wealthy for a long time. Lots of times they dress they dress more sloppy, and they, they'll wear jeans to a restaurant where other people dress up more. And I've got some friends. I've got some friends that are really good, humble people that are worth $100 million.
Right.
And when we go to a restaurant, I'm almost a little bit embarrassed because he's always wearing, there's, I wear jeans some of the time, but we'll go to a decent restaurant, he'll come wearing jeans and stuff, but they just drive a normal car and stuff like that. Whereas people who were poor all their lives, like I wasn't poor, but I was, on that side of things. When you're poor all your life and then you make money, because I sold millions of books and stuff like that, then you tend to want to show it off. And, so you get the fancy cars and the fancy houses and all that sort of thing. And there's nothing wrong with owning a nice car or a nice house or things like that. In fact, the Bible says if God's blessed you with great wealth, enjoy it. Just don't live for it.
Right. Exactly.
And And so it's easy for nouveau rich, the people that, like these pro athletes, some of them are really nice people, and then all of a sudden they're making millions of dollars and become more narcissistic.
Right.
And they wear these gold necklaces that weigh more than they do, and stuff, and to show off their success. And most of them, I've treated a lot of pro athletes here in Dallas of all 3 sports and 4 sports, and a lot of them, when they get done, they make millions per year, and then a few years after they quit playing, they're broke. They're working in a clothing store trying to sell clothes or something, and regular job, and
which is really good for them, actually,
because they didn't save.
Right.
They just
spent. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. My body
so
is.
Amount to something. Trying to amount to something in the eyes of the world. No,
exactly.
Not really. But part of me, because part of me when I grew up poor, did want to amount to something in the eyes of the world. I think part of me did want to.
Full disclosure here, around doing this network and all this stuff, I definitely got a big head for a while about it, and and then I got over it. I'm so over it now, and I think I'm not giving myself a pass. I don't like that I had some times that I was that way, but I had a lot of yes people around just telling me how wonderful. And I had plenty of people telling me I'm a jerk too, but it's just, it's an evolution. I think it's a good thing to experience that and then come back to a grounded, humble place where you're like, okay, well, when I die and when you die, when Oprah dies, when my male person dies, you and Oprah are not going to get a standing ovation from the spirit, from the after death. You all get the same treatment when you die.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
I loved Billy Graham but I asked the question, who's going to get the most reward in heaven? Billy Graham, who helped millions of people spiritually, or the widow, the 90-year-old widow that prayed for him in her closet repeatedly.
Right.
And I think they'll get an equal,
absolutely,
they'll get equal awards. So, I'd say I was guilty of that one, wanting to amount to something in the eyes of the world. And
me too.
And now that I'm going to turn 76 in another 6 weeks or so. And now I don't want to be in the limelight. I'd rather not be in the limelight.
Same here.
And I've told my wife that I wish when I died that she would cremate me and only invite immediate family to come to the funeral. I don't even want to have a big funeral or where they make a big deal over me and stuff. But she might do something in between. But I'd rather not even have a big funeral or anything.
Yep.
So I've grown away from that, but I was guilty of that. Earlier. And in fact, I thought when I become an MD, boy, I'm going to be an important person.
Right.
And I was so happy to get to the graduation. And then as soon as I graduated, I felt depressed. And I thought, why am I feeling depressed? I thought, well, everywhere I go, my butt still follows me. And I wasn't fat or anything. I just meant, I'm not any different than anybody else.
Right. Exactly.
I still don't feel like I'm something, special in the eyes of the world or special. It just, I accomplished something that I worked hard for. And so I think I was guilty of that because I grew up more, I wasn't real popular in high school or anything. And I had a lot of friends, but, and so I think that I got narcissistic in a sense, not to the point where I,
it became a
people
disorder.
off.
Yeah. We have our phases. We all have our narcissistic phases. I mean, 5
but now
years
for sure
old
I can say I just want to be reasonably happy, and I don't want to amount to something in the eyes of the world. I don't give a rip.
Exactly.
I want to help people in the world, as many as possible. But I don't care if I get any. I'd rather not get fame for it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the next one, I know what you picked on this. My body is nothing special. I like
Yeah.
to look at my body. I mean, I mean, for years, I just hated my physical self. And so it's been a lot of healing work to get to a point where I love myself no matter what I look like, because it really just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But even when you and I were perfect weights,
yeah,
you know, I know you weren't the type to stand there and admire your body.
Oh God, no.
You know? And I wasn't.
I saw every
either.
flaw. I saw every flaw. Yeah. And I now I don't. It's a lot of work.
Even if you didn't see flaws, it's not something that was important. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. There are other things to, like I've said many times, it was a really good thing for me to gain weight. It really was, because I could have stayed stuck in manipulation and stuff around getting things because of what I looked like, and not widening my perspective, not widening my growth beyond that, because it's so enticing and the world certainly serves it up for you to be completely obsessed with your looks and stuff. So for me, gaining weight was like, I got to develop all these other qualities that are so much more important to be able to do what I want to do, because because I gained weight. So it was a really good thing for me to do that. So, okay. The next one is, I try not to be a show off. I will usually show off if I get the chance. Well, oh my gosh, Paul, we both
I try not to be a show off.
Yeah.
But sometimes I am a show-off.
Sometimes it happens. Me too.
But
sometimes
I try not to be a show-off.
Exactly.
But sometimes I do,
Exactly. All right. The next one is, I always know what I'm doing. Sometimes
That's for sure not true for me.
Same here. Sometimes I'm not sure of what I'm doing. And the next one is, I sometimes depend on people to get things done. I rarely depend on anyone else to get things done. Well, we both depend on other people.
We both delegate a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I tell good stories. Everybody likes to hear my stories. Not everybody likes to hear my stories.
No. In fact, I don't even tell. I can only tell spontaneous jokes. If I memorize a joke and tell it, nobody ever laughs. I can't memorize a joke and tell it. I don't know why. You just, but anyway.
Yep. And this list is longer, so we're going to do a 2-parter on this show. So we'll do a couple more and then we'll close it out and we'll bring it for the next show.
Okay.
Because I think this is really good.
Yeah, because I got a lot more points. I got a lot more points to cover, but you're right. Let's do another program on it.
Okay. So the next one is,
I expect a great deal.
I expect a great deal from other people. I like to do things for other people. I've had my times where I just expected a lot from other people because I was way much more judgmental at that time and not enlightened, in things like that. My growth was still, I was a younger person, but now I'm like, I really love to do things for other people. I really do. I love it.
Yeah, that's why I don't plan. It wouldn't matter if I won the lottery, I wouldn't retire.
You'd keep doing what you're
There's
doing.
nothing wrong with retiring. I'm not criticizing those of you in our listening family who retired. I'm just saying that I love helping people. And that's why I keep practicing psychiatry along with the other things that I do. But I don't see as many. I just see, maybe 4 or 5 a day. Well, I see about 8 in a day program briefly for meds, and then I see about 4 a day other ones. So I guess I am still seeing quite a few. But
yes, you
are. I love helping people. I love helping people, and so no matter how old I get, if I can only see 2 people a day, I'll see 2 people a day. I got a friend who's 95, and he's a psychiatrist and still drives himself back and forth to work, and I can see myself doing that.
Absolutely,
because I just enjoy helping people more than I enjoy being waited on.
Oh my gosh, absolutely, absolutely.
So I expect reasonable things from other people that work here, but I don't think I expect a great deal. I don't expect unrealistic things from other people.
I remember being Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm done.
I remember being at a conference where I was speaking, but I also was given a booth, and the person that I brought with me to help was so obsessed with looking fantastic that they sat in their car for 2 hours after we're supposed to be setting everything up, doing their makeup and doing all this stuff. And one of the other vendors came by and said, "Why are you, the CEO of this organization, crawling around on the floor putting things together when I see your assistant out there putting on their makeup?" And I was like, it was a great question. It really made me think like, oh yeah, this is not working. But I will always crawl around on the floor and find the plug and whatever, because that's just what I do.
So what happened to that assistant, without giving away who it is or anything?
I don't know what has happened to that person.
But she didn't stay with you, right?
No. That was one where oh God, that was a whole other trying to rip me off for money and talk bad about me and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just so glad that you're gone, that I don't care what you say about me. And if anybody, I remember telling them, any bad thing that you have to say about me, there's probably a grain of truth to a lot of it. So, and I'm okay with that, but I still want you to not let the door hit you in the rear on the way out my company.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you a prejudice I have. I'm a sexist in a way, in a good way.
Okay.
I'm a sexist. I've got a national chain of clinics, as you know, nonprofit clinics, and I've got a woman running every single one. I hire women to run them, and I'm sure there's really good male leaders, but it seems like whenever I hire a male to run a clinic, they want to feel important, and they put their feet up on the desk, and they hire too many relatives, and they want to hire as many people as they can, so they have more people to control, and the women that I hire seem to be more humble, and they get in, like the gal that's running our clinic here is just awesome, and she's humble, and she'll if there's if the janitor couldn't make it, she'd do janitorial work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than bring in somebody else, she would add that to her responsibility. She does whatever, she fills in wherever she needs to, but at the same time, people respect her and follow her leadership, and so I've had really, in my own little sister runs the whole company. She started out as my secretary and worked her way up to being my boss.
Right, exactly.
And so I'm a sexist. I prefer females to males in a lot of things. Most of my doctors are females because women do it better in medical school than men do. And on the average, isn't that because they're smarter? But I think on the average, it seems like women are a little more. Maybe it's because us guys are a little bit brain damaged, from. No, I mean we actually are. At early on in our development in the mother's womb, we get a testosterone bath that destroys part of our brains. That has to do with emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
And so maybe women are just more intuitive or something, but most of my not all of them, but most of my doctors are females, and women, and I hire women to run our clinics, and just because I've had better luck with them.
Right. Exactly.
So I guess I'm a reverse sexist in a way. I'm sure that's not fair to men because it's probably pretty close between women and men as far as who would be good leaders, but I've just had better luck with women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got a few more, and we're going to save those for the next time.
Yeah.
So let's just, for our last, few minutes, Paul, talk a little bit about Philippians 2 and,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me mark. I'm going to mark where we were, so I'll remember. There.
I did too. I did it silently.
And I'll save that on our. There, I saved it. Okay, yeah, Philippians 2. I love that chapter. It talks about Jesus, and it says, basically, I'm going to paraphrase it into my own words. It says that, let this mind be in you, let this attitude be in you, as a believer, as a person, as a human being. let this mind be in you that Jesus had. You know, he was born in a manger. You know, I believe Jesus is God, you know, but that's, you know, I know not everybody listening to us does, but I believe God loved us, and he took on a human body to relate to us. And he was born in a manger, and he grew up the son of a carpenter, and it said, so even though he was God, he didn't consider equality with God something to be used to his advantage on earth. Instead, he became a servant. He was a servant on earth, and made in human likeness. And he humbled himself, and even became obedient to death on the cross to pay for our sins. And so then God will exalt him in the end, you know. And he said, let this mind be in you that Jesus had, that being tender, compassionate, make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit, be of one mind. It doesn't mean let one mind tell you how to think, but do nothing out of selfish ambition.
Right.
So don't be a communal narcissist.
Right.
Or vain conceit. In humility, value others above yourselves. Treat others as though they're more important than you. In reality, you know, we're all equally important to God, but treat others as though they're more important than you. Don't look out just for your own personal interest, but look out for the interests of others. And so that's a great chapter. I memorized those verses, and in verse 26 it says, because we all tend to seek our own natural desires. You know, we tend to be selfish.
Right.
I think our natural tendency, I mean, from birth, you know, we if we don't get what we want when you're
cry.
a month old, you cry, you know, which is okay. You know, I mean, you're saying I'm hungry or I'm wet or something, you know, but we need love and discipline to outgrow that natural narcissism that we're born with, some good and some bad. It can develop into, you know, if we don't get any loving and discipline and things like that growing up, I think we would all turn into narcissists. But you know, we hopefully will grow to a point where we can put others first, not to where we're placemat.
Right.
You know, you can go take that to an extreme, but we're, yeah. In other words, we're encouraged to try to have the kind of mindset that Jesus did here on earth.
Exactly. Taking it to like a real world example. If you are, you know, you're an owner of a business. Let's say, you know, you, Paul, I mean, you're an owner of your business. Let's say you, you know, you were very kind to people paying you to utilize your services, but you treated them initially to get them to pay you. You treated them with all this wonderful, it's so wonderful, everything's great, blah, 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 blah. And then once they're in and they've paid, then you talk to them like they're an insolent child that should be feeling grateful that you allowed them to pay you.
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
I mean, I have seen that again. Yeah, I've seen that again and again and again. I've seen people that have had to spend their own money to make something work with a business that's supposed to be providing that service. And nice people are like, oh, okay. They're being very kind. And they're like, oh, this person can't do this, even though it's in my contract, they can't do this. And so they start spending money, and that breeds resentment. And the owner, you know, is just like, well, I have people do that for me because they're lucky that they have my services. Yeah. And you just kind of go, okay.
One reason Nancy and I, my sister and I, made our clinics nonprofit clinics about 20 years ago is we can't give ourselves bonuses, or we can't share if there's profits. They all go back. They have to all go back to helping people get charitable care. Exactly. And so we do a lot of charitable care, and it's not so I can brag about it right now, but I'm bragging a little bit. But you know, my salary is my basic salary is less than most people who run a large organization. I do make money for doctor work, I get a percentage of what I bring in, and I work pretty hard, but I don't live for the money. That's why I'm going to keep doing this to some extent, no matter where I'm at financially, because I love doing it.
Exactly. Well, we'll end on that note and pick up on the next show, the last questions and more explanation about it. So, Paul, thank you for agreeing to do a show on this particular topic of communal narcissism.
Yeah, you asked me, do you want to do one on communal narcissism? I said, what's that?
And then this is what Paul does every single time, listeners. Then because he prepares for these shows. So you went and you researched and you brought together.
Yeah. And when I read up on it, I thought,
notes.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for years.
Yep.
I just didn't call it that, and so
Exactly.
it's a way. So we're focusing on the kind of narcissism that shows up in people that are seeking fame and fortune.
Yep, exactly. Are drunk on the power they believe that they, that they have. And, really it's I see it a lot with, wanting to be the big fish in a small pond. And it's like, no, you're swimming in the pond just like all the other fish. You're not the special fish. Okay. But anyway, listeners, thank you so much for listening in. We'll be excited to finish up this conversation. Paul, I love doing these with you, as you know. So thank you so much for coming back on.
Yep.
All right, listeners, have a great day and look for this in your own lives. And we will catch you on the next show. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. Tune in next time for another engaging discussion on relevant mental health topics. If you have any questions about Meier Clinics, please visit our website at meierclinics.com. That's MEIER clinics.com, or call us at 888-7-CLINIC. Don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps. And please note that we are a member of and produced by Mental Health News Radio Network, MHNRnetwork.com.